Sorry, this way. That way. Okay. I'm ready, willing, and able, Mr. Coleman.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Lee Coleman. This is lLEEZFEED podcast. And tonight we have the honor of having a very distinguished young man, Mr. Larry Ivory, who's the president and CEO of the Illinois State Black Chamber. Welcome, Mr. Ivory.
Well, Mr. Coleman, glad to be with you again.
Yes, sir.
And when you said distinguished young man, I didn't know who you were talking about when you said young. I mean, I'm younger than you, so you can say younger than me, but I don't know if I'm young anymore, Lee.
Only difference is I'm better looking. That's it. That's the only difference.
That's debatable.
That's debatable?
Okay. Absolutely.
Okay. Hey, Larry, just tell the audience a little brief history of your relationship with me and vice versa.
Well, you know, we go back, Lee, boy, I can't even remember how many years, but it's been 15 plus years.
Oh, more than that.
Okay, well, if that's 15 plus, 15 plus years.
2001, yeah.
2001, man, 23 years. I remember meeting you at an event. When I first met you, you seemed kind of aloof. You know, you wasn't, you know, this kind of guy that just, you know, you just want to run up and hug, you know. But once we got together and we started talking, we understood that we were brother and comrade. We were comrades and brothers who really had the same passion for our people. And we began to build our relationship. And I can say that it has been one of the most incredible relationships. I have an enormous amount of respect.
Absolutely. Do something, Larry. I'm playing solo tonight. Let me do something right quick. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All righty. I'm flying solo tonight, and my in ostentatious studio here in O'Fallon, Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah, we met in 2001. That was the year of the attack on the Trade Center in New York.
Yes. Yeah. Boy, that's, man, we gone back a long way, Lee. You know, when I think about 2001, that's over 23 years.
Yeah.
That we've known each other.
And because I've had a chance to go to Jamaica, go to DC several times, and all across the country, taking care of chamber business. So, Larry, right now, I know it might sound elementary, but what is a chamber? What is the purpose? What is a chamber and what is its purpose?
Well, the chamber is about commerce. And the purpose of the Black Chamber of Commerce is to, really quite simple, it's to strengthen Black businesses, to procurement, contracting, education, helping to build capacity. Our mission statement is to economically empower and sustain the African American community through entrepreneurship and capitalist activities via interaction with our National Black Chamber throughout the Black diaspora. In essence, we just strengthen Black businesses, man. That's the purpose of a chamber. Whether it be a Black chamber or a white chamber or the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, it's about commerce and creating business and growing businesses. We focus on Black businesses, but the commerce focused on commerce.
In your opinion, and I do agree with that definition. In your opinion, what is the state of Black business now in Peoria, Illinois, where you are, and in the nation?
Well, Lee, I like to be optimistic, but the fact of the matter is that we are, in my opinion, we have, in some cases, when not careful, we have given up some ground. And with some of the things that I'm seeing happening out of the current administration, I have some real legitimate concerns about where we're going to end up, quite frankly. And the state of Black business, and I'll give you some figures that I think is kind of alarming. In the state of Illinois, this is their data, that over 70% of Black businesses do less than $50,000 a year. This is data that came from the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. There's over 120,000 Black businesses. And the problem is that our businesses are solopreneurs, and we haven't done a great job of building capacity. Like Hispanics are outperforming us, where their average income per business, when you take the data and divide it up, is over 200,000 across the board. So we are behind the eight ball. And so I'd have to say, if I'm honest with people, I have to say the state of Black business is not dismal, but we surely got a lot more work to do than where we're at right now to have any degree of
What are some
parity
of the
at this point
reasons
in time.
why the state of the Black businesses in this country and in your state, my state, Illinois, why?
Well, I think it's at the end of the day, Lee, this is America, but it is also a system that was built upon racism, and that it was designed for us from the very beginning, for us to be marginalized, and they needed to do that in order to justify, kind of what they had to do in order to keep us in the position we're in, where they could do what they wanted to do, where we were not considered to be human. And they did all those things from a number of different positions. They try to use, in some cases, use biblical things to say that we were somehow cursed, and then some people said we were animals. I mean, they did all kinds of things, I thought, to justify the mistreatment of the Black man and the Black woman, quite frankly. And that's why, I mean, we live in a society to where the whole purpose of slavery, and most people don't really understand, Lee, from this perspective, is that in the very beginning, there was white slaves and Black slaves, indentured servants, and they didn't get treated much better than us. But what happened was, under the Bacon Rebellion, Blacks and whites came together and overthrew the slave masters. The elite people understood that was a problem, so they decided that, look, let's make sure this never happens again. And so they pulled the indentured servants out, gave them power, had them own slaves, and they put us at the bottom because it's easier to control Black people because of the color of our skin. And it was a part of a strategy to keep us in a position not to participate economically, or not to be relevant enough in terms of what was happening in America.
Yeah, in today's society, people who does not look like us want to debate, and some who looks like us want to debate your premise, even on the fact that this is a racist country. Nikki Haley said that America is not a racist country. She was a presidential candidate this last go around. And then I think 18 seconds later, she said, well, I experienced racism when I was coming up, because she's Indian,
Mm-hmm.
not Native American, but Indian, from the country of India. And she said, this is not a racist country.
Well, people can say anything, Lee. I mean, words are words that come out of people's mouths. Don't make it true, but it is words. The fact of the matter is that racism had been a part of the American DNA from the very beginning of the founding fathers. In terms of the Constitution, we were written out. And even though the words sounded really glossy, they didn't really want to include us. And we're still fighting for what I consider to be fair treatment and procurement. We still have a long way to go. And for someone to think that America is not racist is to be at odds with the universe, because it's like trying to be at odds with it's raining. It's raining. Racism is here. It's real. It's been a part of American DNA, and no one's going to take. I mean, no one. I mean, any sophisticated, logical person would understand that. Quite frankly, Lee.
So, what are the solutions? Give me some solutions to we all know the problem. I talked to a lot
Well,
of
I think it comes to education.
And the
Lee.
great
A part of it is education. First of all, we need to understand our history and really understand how we got here, because a lot of people don't understand, who we were in ancient Egypt, Mansa Musa, and all these great Africans who really ran the world. They came back to teach, the Moors came back to teach the Europeans who didn't have much sophistication at all. Uh, Water treatment, sewage. I mean, the way they were living was deplorable. But the Moors came and really changed and really kind of helped civilize Europe, quite frankly. When you came here, when we talked Columbus, Columbus didn't,
Who are
the
the
Indians,
Moors? Where did they come from?
they came from Africa.
Okay.
They came from Africa.
They
And
tried to
black
appropriate
people
that
were
and
here
said
for,
the Moors were not Africans now. You know that, don't you?
pardon me?
They tried to appropriate the Moors into white people as opposed to black people.
Well, the Moors were definitely black people. There weren't no white people at the.
Remember the
Well,
term Moor
pardon me?
that they used back then? In some instances, they called the Moors blackamoors. They went into Spain and other places in Europe and have civilized great culture, mathematics, and science to the European world.
Oh, absolutely,
They
absolutely.
compared to an African person.
And so when you say what the solution is, Lee, I think my point is I think there has to be a degree of real education about who we are, because I think we let them shape the conversation and convince us that we were less than. And psychologically, the battle was fought, and that's where, in some cases, the battle was won in terms of what we think about ourselves and how we identify ourselves, and even the nomenclature and the words that they use. Everything that's black is bad. You know,
You know what? We get
black
caught
eye.
in ourselves. You say, I've heard people recently say they gave my organization a black eye or I was blacklisted. And I
Right.
for these commentators, and you got black people on radio and TV using this same word, dark. The conversation went dark. That was a dark day. This is a Trump say it's into his darkness. Well, like Martin
Mhm.
Luther King said, every word associated with dark or black is negative.
It's bad. Yeah, right, right. And psychologically, that's a pretty heavy hit game on black people. So we have to. I think we have to go back, Lee, and educate ourselves, and then we have to begin to understand, like Billie Holiday said, "God bless a child that has a song."
Mhm.
Affirmative action, um, what you call when they allowed us to leave our communities, um, were things that seemed that we were making progress, but really the collateral damage that happened um, when integration happened was, in essence, not as good as we would like to think, because a lot of people left our community, the best and brightest, who had the money, the resources, left our community, and left our community with the brain drain and not left up with the best of people. So there was a number of things that they did. So I think what we have to get organized, got to get educated to understand who we are, so we can feel good about ourselves, and we got to begin to make sure that we get organized and have a game plan and begin to create our own economic welfare and stop letting money come in our community and go out of our community. We are a
Said out of every dollar, only 3 cents stays in our community. Out of every dollar, Dr. Claude
yeah.
Anderson.
That's economic assassination, lady.
Huh?
That's economic assassination.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're pulling the gun to our own head and pulling the trigger because we have an enormous trade deficit.
Do you think that we failed as baby boomers because the hip hop generation, which is about 52 years old now, they're a totally different breed of black people. I've never seen uh, black people react to some things the way the hip hop generation has done, and they're inundating our culture now, with the rap music, the very negative rap, the misogyny and the hatred of ourselves and the word the N word, and so forth and so on. So did we fail to teach them about our ancestors, and did we fail to teach them to respect us as ancestors since we're older?
Well, I obviously I think that we have to assume some responsibility for that. But you also got to understand that there was a significant game plan to take the black male out of the black family, because if you want to control the people, destroy the family. And I think our basic foundation of family was destroyed, and I think that it led itself to young men without fathers, and it created, not that it was the only thing, but it was one of the most significant things I think that happened, was the mere fact that the black males were no longer in the home, in the families, in the homes, because of certain things that the government did that I thought was very intentional, and I think we lost sight, and we stopped training our young men and young women in this case to understand the value of the strides that we had made and the sacrifices that our people made, like Dr. King and many other incredible leaders like Malcolm X. And social media became a big issue now. And I think we're in worse shape now than we were in, 50 years ago, and surely 50 years before that. So I think we've gotten progressively worse in some cases instead of progressively better in some cases.
Okay, well, let me get back to the chamber. It is my understanding, and this is where we have to hold people accountable. Like we should be held accountable for not teaching the history of our people, because black youngsters and people 50 and under, they were the one that voted for Trump in greater numbers than before, the 50 and under group, because hip hop
Mm-hmm.
now are grandfathers and fathers, and so they're deeply into our communities now in all aspects of our community. And I pass by people with this gray beard at Walmart and other places, and they won't even look at you and speak to you. And I stop a lot of times. My wife tells me, quit trying to teach. I say, brother, you know, respect this gray hair. I've had that conversation several times because there was
Mm-hmm.
a time, if it weren't for our ancestors and even some of us, you wouldn't even be allowed to go in a place like Walmart or eat in a restaurant. So you are here, but there was a debt to pay to get you here. We need to teach them. We failed to teach them in the beginning, but I'm going to always teach when I see that occur. But
Well,
go ahead, Larry.
that's what makes you Lee Coleman, man, because most people won't take the time and won't even dare to say nothing to a young black brother or sister. Uh, and therein lies what I consider to be one of our great challenges, and that we have to overcome. We got to take time to talk to each other, and we got to invest in each other. We got to understand that we are our brother's keeper to some degree.
Yeah. And I think that like they're doing Nelly and Snoop Dogg, we have to call these people out who are betraying, the black community. Um, for instance, we've talked about it several times, and it's time to do something about it. Why is the Hispanic Chamber getting money in the state budget and your chamber is not?
Well, that's the $1 million question.
Explain that process. Explain what's happening. The government of Illinois, the state government, has actually put money in the budget to fund the Hispanic Chamber. I think it's HACIA.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of the other chamber?
I see it in the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Okay. They actually got a line item in the budget to get funds to help go out and recruit and embellish Hispanic businesses.
So
And you've
to,
been
to
doing
employ
it for
to
years.
employ people that can do the work, quite frankly, to help strengthen their businesses.
Okay, and your organization used to be a supported services consultant for the Illinois Department of Transportation to do the same thing, and you were paid to do the same thing
Mm-hmm.
that the Hispanic chambers are getting. but you are a consultant. They are funded their entire chamber.
Yeah, well, sometimes we have to understand that there is a intentional strategy to undermine us. And when you have an organization that brings light and sheds light on things, people who don't want the light shed will do what they need to do or do what they can do in order to minimize that organization or minimize that individual. And I know, Lee, that from, I've been with you when you were at IDOT, and you've always done the right thing in terms of policy, understood the rules and everything else. And even though you were really good with your business, there were a lot of people probably at the Department of Transportation who didn't like you. Didn't like you, not because you wouldn't performing, they didn't like you because you represented a degree of confidence in yourself and a degree of expertise that they didn't like. And anytime you find people who don't like you, they try to undermine you because they consider you to be, in some cases, a threat. And just like today, with the attack on the DEI, where white males are already getting significant portion of all the contracts. And somehow we have turned the words around as if we're discriminating against white males. But if white males only represent close to 40% of the population, they're getting 90% of all the contracts. I don't know how you can say they're being discriminated against. That's pretty interesting in my opinion. But they've been able to spin, the woke movement. They've been able to spin everything around and play word games in terms of getting people to see things from a different angle.
We have to call them out. Woke was first mentioned in our communities by the blues man Leadbelly.
Mm-hmm.
And he told us to stay woke because of the lynchings, to pay attention to your surroundings and be careful. They appropriated the word and turned it into another word,
Yeah.
N-word, and they're using it against us. Wokeness. What the hell is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Be alert. That's all it meant. They took it and turned it around. The critical race theory. They took that and turned that around for something else. Wow. Now
Yeah. They play a heck of a head game, man, and they play a heck of a word crafty. Even when we go back to Africa, they've always changed the names of things. It's always it's so much to unpack. But when you have a society, because none of the Europeans came over here were Native Americans, and we were here even before the Indians got here, quite frankly. But they came here. They are, in essence, now the point is that maybe, not maybe, but in the war, the conqueror gets the spoils. So I guess since they believe they conquered America by wiping out groups of people, they get a chance to formulate what people see, how they think, and try. So they've had the power to do a number of things, and they've done that.
yeah. But we have to call these people out on a local, state, and federal level. Those elected officials that we sent to those offices uh, are allowing governments to fund chambers, which are very important organizations. And our black legislators, what are they saying about that, Larry?
They're not saying really anything. Matter of fact, they may be in some cases. In some cases, you can say, and we have to be. We always got to be careful in terms of when you're trying to build coalitions and get people to work with you. Sometimes we have to we have to walk the tightrope lead that unfortunately we have to do because quite frankly, you know, they did not say much of anything, and quite frankly, in some cases might have went along with making sure we got nothing. Now, why I explain that is that they can always find a way of demonizing you. You know, when they want to come after you, what they do is find a way of demonizing you.
Way more tools than we used to have. We got social
Pardon me?
media now, where there was a time when we would have to pay or get the attention of the so-called mainstream media. But we don't have to do that anymore. I don't think we're on our job as a community, because those legislators who are allowing the disparity between the chambers, the Hispanic chambers are getting it through the budget of the Illinois legislature, and your black chamber is not, and you are there longer than most chambers in the
Mm-hmm.
state, probably the oldest black chamber. So
Yeah.
those legislators that we sent to office, we need to call them out.
Well,
Because
you know, the other side of that, Lee, is that you have to understand that the politics behind it too, and we should call them out, but understand that there are forces out there that, just like Trump said, if you run against Trump, he gonna, you know, if you go against Trump's policy in the Republican Party, he has enough money and enough people that he can run someone against you in the primary. If you want to stay in office, you don't want him to put someone and run someone against you. So he's leveraging his power. Well, Democrats do the same thing. You know, they do the same thing, just in a different way, and maybe not as ostentatious or maybe as aggressive as Republicans do, but they do the same thing in some cases where they.
that leaves nothing. So we're not aggressive in criticizing them because we have to walk this tightrope. We're not getting anything. So
Right, absolutely. We're not getting.
said
If
nothing,
we're getting
nothing
something, we're not getting very much.
So I believe in leaving it on the court.
That's why you're Lee Coleman, man.
We got to go out
That's what you do,
there.
Lee.
And if you know, if we sent you to the state houses, the local governments, and and the federal governments to do something on our behalf, and you're not doing it, they need to know that the next time they run, they won't get our support.
You know, we have to be
Organize
as true.
communities. We got to get black again.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to be able to leverage what we have, and I don't think we leverage what we have in the same way that others have leveraged what they have. Um, People in power use leverage and use intimidation to get what they want. Trump clearly has mastered that in terms of his overall strategy. And whether one agrees with Trump or not is that he has leveraged his collective power to get done what he wants to get done.
You know what about you're right about that, but you know what's really crazy? You know what what fears one man does not fear another. If you think about our ancestors and some of us great grandparents, they could be killed. Martin Luther King and Malcolm, they had death over them all the time. They still went ahead. But what is happening now, you don't have that same, you have a threat of death, don't get me wrong, but not to the extent that Martin and Malcolm had. Medgar Evers and Mary Lou Hamer, Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman.
Mm-hmm.
So what tightrope did they walk? She had that shotgun. Harriet did.
Yeah. Well, see, the other side of that, Lee, is that what I would endeavor to say is that the state of the condition of Black people was much, it was viewed as being much worse. Now, you and I can debate uh, if things are the same that it was 50, 60 years ago, and I would endeavor to say it's different. And they give the illusion that a few Blacks have made it, make some money, live in a big house. And so they give the illusion that, you know, people are doing okay. And so people don't feel as, you know, because when you're being abused all the time and you see no way out, and you're, you know, it requires that you take bigger steps because you don't like the treatment. They give this illusion from us, from my perspective, that, you know, Lee can have a good job at IDOT, make a six-figure income, can have a nice house, can go to a different school. And so we don't see it in the same, he can ride on the bus, any bus he wants to. And when you're under extreme circumstances and extreme oppression, there's only one other thing to do but fight and to risk everything because you cannot tolerate it more. I think we have become dull and in some cases become pacified with the little bit of success that we had that leads to a degree of complacency. So we're not risking as much because we can still get a job, make a little money. We ain't controlling much of anything. But I think therein lies a problem that if people start taking everything back from us and we couldn't we couldn't do anything right on the. They say all of a sudden Negroes going to get over the back of the bus. You can't do that. Can't do that. I think what you would find that in Black America that you would out of that chaos and the complete mistreatment of the African American, you'd find people prepared to die and fight for it. I think they've done a good job, just like they did in the rebellion. They know how to neutralize. They learn from their mistakes and how to control people. And I think they learned that, in reality, give black people some successes, the Snoop Dogg's some successes, promote promote rappers and everything else. And it makes people believe that the system is fair and that if you just work harder, be smarter, or do what you need to do, you have the same thing. But if you were to take everything from Black people that they took back in Harry Tubman's time, you're going to find a lot of Black people who are prepared to die for it. Yeah. They wouldn't tolerate it.
Well, how much more can we take? We've gone through slavery, peonage, Jim Crow, police brutality, and we're still in a bad state. I say let's organize, let's fight back. We have nothing to lose.
Well, absolutely, I agree with you.
He said, "What do you have to lose?" Trump told us that. He said, "What do you have to lose?"
Absolutely, hey, that's what he said.
Get together. But let me ask you this: and we need to strategize on different methods in terms of how we're going to approach this. But we need to get with those Black legislators because I'm not going to let this go. If they're going to fund the Hispanic chambers, they need to, damn it, fund the Illinois State Black Chamber. We should do nothing less than that.
Yeah, and I think that there are people who try to do that, but I think there are forces out there that did everything they can to make sure we never did get any money. And the thing that sometimes we can be proud of is that they're not attacking you unless you're doing something that is wrong. So if you got, I'm proud of the fact, at least at this point, with all the challenges that we have, that I believe that we did some things in the past that put a target on our back. That people said, look, they had the Black Caucus working hand in, because at one time the Black Caucus didn't do anything or did very little without getting consent of the chamber on anything related to business, especially when it came to minority Black business. They looked for counsel and advice from the chamber, and they followed the chamber. Well, I think people saw that, quite frankly. They saw that we were united as a people, and they knew that the Black Caucus had enormous amount of power because of the number of people that they could stop any piece of legislation. And they could have unseated even the most powerful people of Madigan. If the Black Caucus voted against Madigan, he could have been unseated. They understood that. And then when we brought Black, and they saw Black legislators and Black senators come together and stay united against very powerful odds like the union, the AFL-CIO, and we were able to stand together, it scared people to death because they were like, damn, that's too much power. And they knew that if we stayed together, we were going to get victories and we were going to build momentum. They had to kill that momentum. They had to make sure. Now, they didn't go out and publicize it, Lee, and they didn't go out and say, we got to kill. They met behind the scenes and they got together and they strategized. Look, we got to neutralize this guy and this chamber because what they're doing. Just like they did with you in some cases. They knew that you were a stand-up guy who was not going to be bought. They couldn't pay you out. They couldn't give you some trinkets and you were just going to be a good old Negro. They do that with some people, but they knew they couldn't do that with you. So what they tried to do is try to create this image in any way they could to undermine you so that they would make your life difficult, so that other people would say, "Look, I don't want to do what Lee, because Lee stands up and he wins. Other people are gonna think they can step and win also." So they got to neutralize you in order to maintain control, because it is about control. It's about money and control. And so they needed to control you in order to do that, and they had to make your life difficult. So other people said, "Man, see what happens when you stand up? See what the chamber did? It stood up, and see what they did to them." So everybody else gets scared, because nobody wants to be that slave that tries to run away and they come back and make an example of them. Because they do that so that other people, other states understand the consequences of trying to get it free.
It's called
So
behavioral.
we have to.
We go again. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. That's what my motto was. If they're gonna do this to me, bring it. But you know what was really crazy? I had federal law that supported what I was doing.
Mm-hmm,
So they
absolutely.
got laws on the books. They're gonna be a challenge now because of Trump. But when I was at IDOT up to 2019, I had laws. Executive
Mm-hmm,
Order 11246, you had
mm-hmm.
1273, the other CFR, Code of Federal Regulations, policy regulations that help you do your job. So we were doing our jobs, and we left it
Yeah,
on the. And
believe
I
that's why
told you that
that's
because
why
we had
you.
a chance to put people in key positions. When we had the major bridge project here, we had the highest goals in the state. So we won temporarily, but we got to keep that kind of pressure on. But
Yeah,
let's talk about the DE. Let's talk
but
about
before you move for that, that's why, because you knew that and because you knew the law, that's why they needed to try to undermine you, and that's what we need to understand, is that, but if people had stood up beside you and you had gotten the support that you deserve as a champion for Black people, then it would have been much more difficult to kind of, pick you out, and target you.
we didn't give
But sometimes.
down personally to defend me, and so did Senator Claiborne. We're champions of what we were trying to do. And Larry, if we got need to take another look at Senate Bill 263 that Senator Claiborne put on the books. I don't know
Mhm,
that I know it's dead, but we need to revive Senate Bill 263. It talks about a lot of the stuff that we're facing. But DEI, it's become a bad word. Didn't earn it.
mhm.
So they changed the meaning of it. It didn't mean that
Yeah.
unqualified people were going to get into positions. It meant that
Mhm,
you gave them an opportunity. I had a chance to challenge a legal expert not too long ago when we mentioned DEI, and he said, "Does that mean they're not going to be qualified?" And I simply asked him, "Were the red tails qualified? Who were the red tails? They were the black fighter pilots, Tuskegee
mhm.
Airmen, who escorted bombers. According to history, they never lost a bomber. So were they
Yep.
qualified? Did they know they could fly? Give them an opportunity, and they showed you that they can fly. And
Yep.
even the white bombers were asking for the red tails. Some of
Mhm.
them were really taken aback when they found out they were black pilots.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well,
Just give them
just
a
recently
chance.
the movie of the black male, the black female postmasters, or the black female people in the army who got the mail, and under the extreme circumstance. We have countless examples of our greatness. Matter of fact, we are great. We are great people. It's unfortunate we don't understand how great we really are, and we have to get back to understanding who we are, why we're here, and operate in a position of non-fear.
I tell you what we're going to be doing here. We're going to be talking about our greatness. Egypt didn't look like it does today. Australia didn't
No.
look like it does today, back in the day. New Zealand didn't. Tasmania didn't.
Yeah.
China just admitted that their ancestors were African.
Mm-hmm.
The Egypt people in the Philippines they look like me. So
Mm-hmm.
we're all over the place. And here's what we're missing. And he did a great job. He did a great job. Out of 8 billion people on the planet, if you ask black people what percentage of white people exist on the planet, I heard it were from 70, 80, 40, 50. No, about 10%. They're less than a billion quote unquote Caucasians on the planet. The rest of the world is brown and black and yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that's the first thing we need to understand. African and medium age is 19. There are 54 countries in Africa. There's about 1.5 billion people on that and on that continent, 54 countries. And you've been to Africa. And they're trying to get their sisters and brothers who are in business and those who are not in business to come back and invest in Africa, invest in the motherland. So what was
Absolutely.
that experience like, Larry?
Well, it was incredible, man. I mean, it was such a fulfilling moment where you could go where you were celebrated, not tolerated, where the brothers and sisters from Africa treated you with the utmost respect. And when you took a look at all the leaders of the country, that they were people who looked like you, that they didn't have racism. They might have other issues, but they didn't have racism as an issue. And they treated us like long lost brothers and sisters, man. It was an incredible feeling. But what we left with was a sense of purpose, a sense of where we had a competitive advantage in the marketplace instead of having a disadvantage in the marketplace for being black, like sometimes we have in America. We had a competitive advantage in the marketplace when it comes to in Africa. And even when I say that, I know that there are forces out there who don't want black people in America to get connected with black people in Africa.
You know, Joe Scarborough and his wife went to kiss the ring of Donald Trump, after they had been, and I look at this, MSNBC and CNN, and I wish I had an alternative right now, but I still look at what my enemy is doing. And they went to kiss the ring. But her dad, who was in Carter's administration, and she's a big supporter of women's rights, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But she needs to be called out because she wants to make her dad a hero. But if you look at the record, he said we must never let Africa unite.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brzezinski. We should
Oh,
never let Africa.
absolutely.
That got the
Absolutely.
hero and things that people need to make the world go round. In your computer, there's a mineral called, but it might not be a mineral, but called a mineral, but there's a substance called coltan.
Mm-hmm.
Work without it.
Yeah.
So it's in Africa.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's in abundance in Africa. Lithium, that this battery is in Africa. You know, the list goes on and on of the natural minerals that exist within Africa.
I wish some of these
But
football players and entertainers would get with you. And I got an African brother from Nigeria. We've been talking. He's about land in his home country. They need investors. We got the Chinese and the Russians over there. And America, Joe Biden, before he left,
in India, yeah.
$300 million or something like that to Africa to get in. We got troops in Africa. Why? American troops in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Those
Well,
resources, they cannot live without those resources. Those,
no, they can't. You know, but we have to be careful too and wise enough to know that we can't telegraph our punches. Because believe me, people are listening. And like I said, and some people think I may be a conspiracist, but I tell people just because I'm schizophrenic don't mean anybody follow me. Okay. And when we think about the the place that has the greatest economic upside is Mother Africa. And everybody's there except us. And we have to get back home. Not
absolutely.
without some challenges, because I want people to believe that it's like success. Success is, you look at people and say, hey, man, I watched you shoot basketball and knock them down, like you were in college still, playing for the University of Illinois. And people look and they say, man, here's a guy who is You look like you may be about 54 years old, but you're 70 something years old. You ain't that handsome, but you're an older guy in real life. And they look and they see you knocking down those shots, with ease. But what you understood was the fundamentals, and then you practice every day. You
Right.
got good at what you did because you put the time and energy. And that's what I see in young people, even in young people now, people are putting the time and energy. If you're going to get out of life what you put in life, if you don't fight for something, if you don't put the time and energy into it, you're not going to be good at it. You were good at what you were good at, Lee, because you put the time and you did the research. We got to put the time and energy and research of what we need
We
to be
got to
good at.
teach
We
that.
can't always
I think we don't teach that. And I tell my grandson, you got more tools at your disposal than
disposal.
you ever had. So let's take advantage of those tools and let's use them for our benefit. And that's what we have to do. And we need to get these, like they need to reinvest in their own communities. These baseball players, athletes, entertainers.
Well, here's one thing I said, Lee, that I've been talking about all day today. Well, a portion of that. I said, look, 70 or 80% of our problems are tied to money. And most people would agree that if they had $1 million, most of the problems would be gone. Not that all the problems would be gone, because you can have bad health, you can have issues with family, you can have any
Still
other.
helps with bad
But,
health.
pardon me?
Money still helps with bad health.
That's right. If you got, hey, amen, brother, amen. You got that right. And
The root of evil.
but then we ask
Money is
ourselves,
the
how
root of all
much
evil.
time?
We've been taught that, and we're supposed to be long suffering, and there's going to be a better place for us after we leave this.
One day by and by. I know, man. But see, here's what I'm going to make, Lee, is that if 70% to 80% of our problem is tied to money, how much time did we spend understanding money? And I told my family this recently, because we have family day, where the family gets together, we play spades, taboo, Pictionary, all kinds of games, and we have fun. It's us time coming together with our brothers and sisters and relatives, and we have a fantastic talk trash, but we have a great time. And I told him, I said, I'm going to stop coming to the family get together if we don't take time, at least a half an hour before we meet, to talk about economics, to understand the financial statement, to understand a net worth statement, assets, liabilities, each equals your net worth, to understand cash flow statement, because you can have all the money and all the assets, but if you ain't got no cash flow, you can be bankrupt tomorrow. Income statement gives us a current look at the income versus our expenses, to see how much money we made, how profitable we were. We need to take time to understand, and we need to begin to teach our kids how to leverage time and money, how to put money to work for you. And if money is part of our problem, isn't it a tragedy that we don't spend any time talking about that within our family, the stock market, how to make money?
We're religious. And then our religion teaches us that money's not important. It's not, we got these big time preachers talking about tithing, but
Well, they got a lot of money.
it's gonna
They
grow.
make a lot of money.
Not gonna grow. And you got, black people in these churches, black churches, mixed churches, white churches, and they're teaching you to, money's not, it's not gonna help. You got to give it
Well,
away in order to get something.
I tell people that money may not be the most important thing in my life, but it ranks 5 there with oxygen. Okay, so let me just keep it real that we all need some money, and even from a biblical perspective, and I quote this out of the Bible, it says, "A feast is made for enjoyment, wine maketh merry, but money answers all things." That's in the book. So we have to understand that everything that's written in the book was written by, some of it was written by King James, and it doesn't mean that's because it's in there that it's all true. Because when it talks about be obedient to the slave master and submit to him, uh, I don't think that came from God. Now people can debate that, can get angry about that, but if King James interpreted the Bible, and if they took the picture of Christ and they painted it different than what he was, how can I have confidence that the King James was this great spiritual leader who did it's just ridiculous, man, that we fall for the okie doke. Like I said, we've been hoodwinked, we've been bamboozled, we've been led astray. We've been to everything.
So here's
So
that's
we
strange.
have to be consistent with understanding, but we also have to be carefully about not telegraphing all our punches, because I believe, like I said, and one day I'm gonna write my book that's really going to talk about the story of the chamber. I think John Harmon got a book out, the uh, Power Moves, and it talks about the executive leadership of a chamber, of a Black Chamber of Commerce. But we have to understand that when we're doing great things, it's like, if I'm playing football or basketball, and you're in the red suit, I'm in the blue suit, or you're in the green suit, I'm in the yellow suit. We're opposing teams. I'm trying to score and get a touchdown. You're trying to do what? You're trying to stop me from getting a touchdown. And on basketball, I'm trying to make this shot, and you're trying to block it, trying to steal it, take it down court. We sometimes forget that there is people who are on a different team than we are.
You don't know who your enemy is. You
Right.
have black kids, you don't know who your enemy is.
Yep.
Don't say racism. That's a no-no. You can't say racism. There's no racism. So
Yeah.
who's your enemy? Who's keeping you down? It's direct and indirect ways of
Mm-hmm.
keeping you down. And you know what? That thing about not telegraphing your punches, when I played basketball,
Yeah, you were that good.
my opponent, I'm coming straight at you the next time down. Now you stop me. Okay? And when Jim Brown got that football, they knew he was going to 2-hole. Stop it. When Walter Payton, when Sweet is wearing that end sweep, you knew he was coming around the 9-hole. Go stop him.
Hey, I love that about you, dude. That's why you're Lee Coleman. That's why I have so much respect for you, man. Is that you're right. We have to believe in ourselves, believe in our power to be transformational. And really, in essence, I think that we've been misled, and we have stopped believing in ourselves. And like you said, when you're that bad, you say, "Stop me." And I think that's what I think they try to. But when you do what you do and you do it well, you can't be stopped.
No, you can't.
And I believe that we are
Stop Michael Jordan.
invincible.
You knew he was going to do every time he got the ball. You couldn't stop Kobe. You knew he was going to do when he got the ball.
Right?
So there's an element of surprise, and then there's I'm bringing it. Those
Yeah,
two.
absolutely. There's an element. I'm that good. You can't stop me.
Each one of them. And sometimes we have to just say, "Hey, I'm coming. Stop me."
Absolutely. I agree with you.
We're out.
I
We're
agree with you.
down, man. We're down, and we got to come together. And the greatest meeting church for the black community in the past was the church.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the black church leaders? Who's the activist preacher now?
Well, I think. Go ahead.
I don't see the activist preachers on the scale of Martin Luther King,
Yeah.
Malcolm X with Islam.
I think that we have lost ground, man. Honestly, like you said, I mean,
Yeah.
I would like to say we haven't, but we have.
Yeah. Yeah. But we're going to be doing this often, Larry, to the extent that you are willing to come on and talk to us at lLEEZFEED podcast. I want to stay engaged with you, but I want to talk about something in closing here. We got about another 5-6 minutes. Kamala Harris came within 1.5 points of beating Trump, 77 million to 75 million. Trump threw everything at her but the kitchen sink. Michelle Obama, here come with the religious thing. When they go low, you go high. Now I'm going down low with you. Okay? So she had, I think, 1.45 billion, 100-day campaign. That came out to about $14 million a day to get your message out. Even prior to that, with Joe Biden, those 3 years, if your economy was so great, what was your messaging? What was your messaging? Why didn't we know it? Why didn't you make us know it? Trump made us know they was eating dogs and cats, which was a lie.
Hmm.
Eating ducks, which was a lie. Your children go off to school one sex and come back another one. Huh? Your son goes off to school in the morning as a boy and come back a girl without your consent. You didn't jump on that, Miss Harris. You didn't prove to them that they found out that there was no such thing as eating the dogs and the cats, and the person that was eating the geese was a white man, a 55-year-old white man. He told 30,000 lies. He was against the visas for the HN N1 whatever that is H visa.
Hmm.
Now he's for it.
Hmm.
He was against TikTok. Now he's for it. Democrat.
Electrical vehicles. Here's the point: is that
We're not messaging,
I,
man. We want to play this little tiddlywink game. He's playing hardball and we're playing softball. Now you
yeah,
got to find a way to get to this guy. He's a ringmaster. You got
yeah,
to find a way
absolutely.
to get with him without getting directly in the mud. But you better get down there and message and tell the people what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, here's one thing, man. And I'm gonna say this. I'll probably get in trouble for it, but I've been in trouble before, and probably gonna get in trouble many more times. Is that Trump knew how to play his cards better. Not that he was smarter, but in terms of political strategy,
He knew
they
his
played better. He understood his base, what they needed to say, how to say it to them, and he played the game better. Quite frankly, now just because, and I've been in meetings with all kinds of very, by definition, successful people, and sometimes when you end those meetings and you sit by them and you get into the sessions that I've been over my lifetime, you realize they ain't no smarter than you. And sometimes, even though we got people in political leadership, we just make the assumption they're pretty smart. Now, I don't mean that they're dumb, and I'm not saying that. I want people to misinterpret it. But everybody don't have the same political mind and strategy and the same killer instinct that some other people have. And we surely didn't have a killer instinct. Now, I don't know that everything that Trump is going to do is going to be bad for the country, and maybe even bad for black people. There are
look,
some things, quite
Eric, here's
frankly.
the back. Check this out.
Mhm.
He got all those rich billionaires behind him.
Oh yeah.
He can't run again. He has sold the White House, the presidency, to the oligarchs. That's what he's done. So he don't care about he can't unless he change something in an amendment, he can't run again. All he wants to do is get rich.
Oh yeah. Well,
And and,
hey,
and we got to fight back and call a spade and
hey,
quit trying to play chess all the
we
time. Go ahead and play
at
chess.
least
Because we
we
know
got
damn well Elon Musk did the Heil Hitler sign. You got the Anti-Defamation League saying, oh, that was an awkward moment. He did it twice the same way.
hey, let me say that, man. The fact of the matter, they're scared. People are scared. The Republican Party is concerned about.
You can't be more scared than Harry Tubman. That's my measuring stick. Harriet
Yeah.
Tubman weighed 98 pounds and she freed over 300 slaves with a shotgun. Not for
Hmm.
the enemy as much as it was for the slaves that wanted to go back and give up their locations. So if Harriet can do it, if Sojourner Truth can do it, if Mary Lou Hamer could do it, a little bitty short Medgar Evers and Martin Luther King could do it, what the hell are you afraid of?
Well, Lee, that's you know, I just know that I've been around people long enough, and I've seen very few people with the courage to stand up. It's not common valor. I've seen more people who are afraid, that don't want to lose what they have, who are afraid of any consequence. I've seen 90% more of that than I've seen 10% of you. Those are the facts. I wish I could say that there was, now in us is greatness in all of us, courage to listen, but it's so dormant that it's never been woken up. And you've been woke from the time your mother taught to as we listen, as we shared stories about our parents and what they taught us. And I remember when you talked to your mother, she said, Arthur, if you ever get in a position to help people, to help your people, she told you to do it. And she said that, and I know it stuck with you because I could always hear when you said it to me, how it stuck with you. Well, a lot of people didn't have a mother that said that to them. You are an anomaly. Now, I don't mean that you're the only person like that. I just simply mean that there ain't a lot of people with the heart and the intestinal fortitude, I believe, to stand up and do what's right. I watch, and again, I'm not stroking you. I'm just being honest about my own self and giving, like the Bible says, that give honor where honor is due. When you were in IDOT and we were engaged in mortal combat trying to get some things done, and you worked for IDOT, they were paying you, and I'm sitting next to you, and you're sitting, and we got the Secretary of Transportation, everybody sitting next to you, and you're coaching me in a damn meeting, and you don't know how to speak low, and you're talking to me right. I get up and turn over the damn table, and because it was strategy, I walk out the damn meeting. I look up, your ass walking out with me. I'm like, man, you gonna lose your money. So that is not common, brother. And for you to think it is common, you are, for the first time I tell you, you are mistaken, brother. You are off the beaten path. It is not realistic. It is not real. No different than Michael Jordan ain't and Kobe ain't like every other basketball player. They're not.
Right,
They're
you're
simply not.
right. Just like Malcolm and Martin, those brothers worked every day with death hanging over them.
Yeah.
Mary Lou Hamer, Harriet Tubman, man, come on, she's 98, man. I'm gonna honor those ancestors. They got to fight with me.
Well, hey, that's what I'm saying. I give a shout out to Miss Coleman for putting into you. And he called you Arthur, didn't she?
Arthur,
Arthur? Yeah.
Lee Arthur, what you call me,
Yeah.
Arthur.
My mother and my father, both our parents are gone home. And for me, I know that my mother and my parents look and say, no, my son is accountable to us. I think my father is proud of me. Other people say when he passed away, people come back and tell you, they say, man, your father was really proud of you. I mean, and there's nothing that feels better than a parent that's proud of you. I know that Mother Coleman is proud of you. I know she's looking down and said, look at my boy. He crazy as a lunatic some damn time, because he is, okay?
That was
Because he
crazy.
is unreasonable, uncompromising. Even you and I have had our time where we disagree, but we like brothers. And I tell people, I said, sometimes we can disagree, but it don't mean that we stop loving and caring about each other.
I can't understand.
Family disagrees
Larry, I've
sometimes.
been in meetings with you when you got pissed off at me, you hit the table.
Well, I tried to jump on you one day.
Yeah. But you have to last more than 3 minutes, though. But look at Larry. We're going to talk again, man. And I want you to be a regular, Larry. We got some things we're working on down here in Southern Illinois. But Larry, I learned so much from you, man. And let me tell the people in Peoria and the state of Illinois and anywhere who might subscribe to this channel and listen to it. I remember when I first met you, you had a glass encased office, Smith Barney.
Mm-hmm.
Gave all that up to work on behalf of black people, man. And you did that. When I was in trouble down in Southern Illinois, I looked at the door. Larry Alvarez come through the door. I died down there in Collinsville. You go out there and fight with the district engineer about some stuff he was trying to do to me. You did that. So until the day I die, I will always appreciate you and admire you. I learned a lot from you. The Chamber is a monster of an organization. It's what we need. We need to make it work. We need to make everybody respect it. We need to get with those black legislators. You need to be in the budget.
Absolutely.
But we
Hey,
want
Lee,
the communities to understand that. They
absolutely,
need
man.
to support you because the Hispanics support Hacia. They support.
Mm-hmm.
They support them.
Absolutely. And that's why they outpacing us. But man, Lee, I just want to echo it back to each other, because when brothers have a common goal and they have a bond, it's so important for us to connect And if ever I'm in a fight and I'm going to war, I would want you by my side. You're a foxhole friend.
You don't have
That
to
would
call. I'll be there.
I got a lot of nigga rolls around me. If time get tough, man, I look up, they go. But I know when I'm in the battle, if I get you by me, I know either we gonna win or we gonna die together.
Die together. Yeah. And know what? I always believe, I'm saying this and we got to go. When I played basketball, anybody that know me, when I played, and I still shoot every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm up at the Y. I said, leave it on the field. Kamala, leave it on the hill. You should have
Mm-hmm.
left it on the hill. Fight.
Absolutely.
When you lose, you say, man, I gave it all my all. My uniform is always dirty. When I played baseball, my uniform was always dirty. When I played
Mm-hmm.
basketball, it needed to go straight to the wash machine when I got through playing because I left it all on the field. Larry, thanks so much, Larry. Let's stay in touch. I got a couple other things I want to launch from this program, and you'll be a part of it, hopefully. But I love you, brother. Keep doing what you're
Same here,
doing.
man.
And
Same
when
here, partner.
I,
Nothing but love for you, man. Take care, partner. Take care.
take care, Larry. All
Bye
right.
bye.